Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Randy Herbertson on the line. He's a principal over at the Visual Brand. Randy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it.
Oh, man, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about your website moving forward and kind of this whole story behind it, which I don't want to spoil it right now, but this is just a remarkable story. Before we get into it, though, I do want to learn a little bit more about what you're doing over at the Visual Brand. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Sure thing, Adam. So the Visual Brand, basically, what I like to describe it, is an innovation studio. So our core practice is new products and services. So because of that, we're kind of a right brain, left brain company. We work on both the sort of the front end of innovation, which is, who's it for, why does it matter, what's this business model, and then we are a design studio. We do, industrial design, graphic design, environmental design, whatever the need is. And it's quite diverse. We work on anything from granola bars to new retail concepts. So it's a pretty diverse business.
What are the and just so that the listeners, because at the end of this, I'm going to give you an opportunity to leave your website, contact information, all that good stuff, if somebody wants to follow up to learn more about the Visual Brand. But I want the right type of individuals and/or companies to follow up. So what's typically a good fit for the Visual Brand?
It's a good question. So we definitely work with small companies and big companies. So we work with some of the biggest companies around, and also definitely with startups. We always, with big companies, we tend to work with people who have an innovation function in their practice, and sometimes it's regular marketing people, sometimes it's a specific department. And for small companies, it's people who are starting up a new concept. We have done everything from help them put together their investor decks to help them, bring their ideas to life. So it depends on the kind of company.
Fantastic. All right, let's switch it up, Randy. Let's get into this website. This is an absolutely remarkable story. So mymovingforward.com, moving forward. How did this all come about? Let's just start from the beginning, and because this is a pretty remarkable story.
So I'll start back a little bit before let's call it the COVID period. So at the beginning of the year, one of the things that, we all have New Year's resolutions, right? And so one of mine was, part of having a great innovation practice is really to learn from others, And so I started a pretty big LinkedIn, actually, let's say a campaign or follow-up thing to try to connect with new people to learn more about what their innovation practices were. And this was definitely people that are doing it from a company side, some agency side people as well, and that was sort of a whole effort that I was doing. And then, of course, the COVID period happened, and all of a sudden people had either more time or less time, and I became sort of more curious about that, and I was already having some conversations with people before that just about what they were doing, and then those conversations accelerated or changed once we moved into the COVID period. And I will tell you from a broad stroke, what was sort of interesting is that sort of people fell in three camps. They're the people who completely ran and hide and put their heads under a sheet and said, "I'll come out when it's over." There were people who got incredibly busy because all of a sudden their businesses exploded, and that's not just people selling sanitizer. We have a company that does sewing machines, and their business is up 500%, and people in the energy field changed. And then there was a third group who was sort of interesting and said, what, we're going to be slow for a little while, but this is the perfect time to, A, evaluate what we're doing and how we're doing it, and would we do it differently, and B, let's really take this time to plan what we're going to do next, not only for our regular business anyways, but also now thinking that we're going to be in a next normal afterwards. And in our kind of business, that kept us busy as well. So the great news, even though my team all went remote, we stayed, really, really, really busy, particularly with those latter two kinds of companies. The first group are now slowly emerging, but the latter two have been really, really busy. So fast forward, so in sort of all this happening, I just sort of did a random Pinterest post that I frankly usually look at for creative inspiration, and sort of at the early stages of the COVID period, and it blew up. I had 150,000 views on it in 3 days. And so I got contacted by Pinterest saying, hey, this is great, but you really can't keep this up unless you have a destination for it. You always have to have a web destination. And I said, okay, great, I'll put my company address. And they said, no, that won't work. Okay, you've got to do something different. So I created this blog called mymovingforward.com. And, I decided when I was going to do it, I was going to keep it very short. Visual partly because I'm a creative guy, so there's always a visual element, but just a couple sentences that sort of picked up what I was seeing, what I was hearing, what I was thinking, trying to keep it, of course, apolitical, but sort of, a perspective. And so that's been going on for a couple months. For a little while, I was doing it every day, but now it's a couple times a week. I have over 1 million views a month right now on Pinterest, and tens of thousands on Instagram and Facebook and other places. And the blog itself is getting about 20,000 uniques a week. So it's working apparently, and it's a nice adjunct to sort of the things that I've been learning otherwise.
Wow, absolutely amazing. What a story. And first off, I didn't even know people got contacted by Pinterest. Obviously, that means I've never had a post that was that successful. I was like, what was your first thought? Were you like, is this spam? What's going on here?
Well, it's sort of funny. The only reason I've ever been contacted by Pinterest is to try to sell me ads. But but I get it. I was sent one of those random emails, and I got it, and they said, you have to.
And you opened it. Wow.
Yeah, and then they said, you have to take this post down unless it has a destination. And it was an email exchange, and then it's pretty easy from there. And so I thought, okay. So I did actually have a direct communication with one person there. And yeah, I literally had to go back, and when I created it, they said, okay, it's good, and it worked. And now again, it's just sort of a regular posting that I've been doing.
Wow, absolutely amazing. What a story. And so what is your what are your plans? If any, if you have any going forward for the website, just in general. I know I've looked at it, and I'm looking at it as we speak, and it's just beautiful, and I love what you're doing. Obviously a lot of work went into this and into those lines that you're writing. I don't know who said it or how they said it, but they said something about the less in terms of sentence and writing to get to the simple is the best, and it's the hardest thing to do, and you're managing to pull this off. So I'm like, I know to write those couple of lines, I know that takes a lot of time. I'm like, I want no part of that. That's why I'm a podcaster. I just get to talk.
Exactly.
So what are your plans going forward for this? This is a big project.
For starters, it is a really wonderful personal exercise for exactly like you said, Adam, because number one, writing, I have to edit myself down to really getting down to a core thought. In fact, when I talk about it across my social platforms, I say my latest thought, singular, because I want people to not think they're going to read a tome. Because again, there's a lot of people writing great things, but a lot of times it's a commitment, right? You got to read an article. And I wanted to distill it down. And the second part of it is also then developing a visual that communicates that. And to me, that's as powerful. Even that's the reason my company is called the Visual Brand, because, visuals are a really important part of our communication. That also speaks to that as well. And it's been interesting because, of course, I've been seeing as much response to the visual as to the content in terms of getting to the point of what I'm trying to say. And honestly, it's evolved a little bit, of course, as we've moved in, from COVID to the Floyd situation and the Black Lives Matters, and I've had a point of view on that as well. And like I said, not political, because that's important, but so the conversation's evolved. And so that's what I kind of expect it's going to happen, is that originally this was sort of during the COVID period, and now it's moved on. And I think it's going to continue. But it does come from, again, it's just not just strictly straight out of my head. It's things that I'm reading, people I'm talking to. And sort of through the week, I sort of write myself little notes and say, okay, this is something I'm going to write about. And that's when I put it up. And so, again, it's been a really great, personal exercise, and it sort of dovetails with what I do professionally.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love it. It's such a great idea, and I love the way I just love the way the site's that it's laid out, and it's definitely digestible, and it just works, and obviously it works because the numbers are working. So that being said, If somebody's listening to this, Randy, and they want more information, let's start with the visual brand. So if they want to check out My Moving Forward, I see it's mymovingforward.com, and then also leave your how they find it on social. I see you have all the links there, though, on social, too, if they just go to the website. But also if somebody wants to learn more about the visual brand, I mean, what's the best way for people to connect with you and your brands overall?
So the visual brand is thevisualbrand.com. And I'm also always happy to get emails at Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, at thevisualbrand.com. And that's probably the two best ways to get a hold of me, although I am all day long on GChat and Zoom and everything else like the rest of the free world is right now.
Facts.
So, which is the other little interesting nugget. I actually never stopped coming to my studio, even though I was by myself for a very long time. But I've never been busier and more face-to-face with people. So that's been another whole learning that's come out of this as well.
Wow.
And actually, that's a really good thing, frankly. I've spent, people that normally sat, 10 feet from me, I've spent more time looking at their face than I did when they were that close. So, so the visualbrand.com or Randy at the Visual Brand. And for My Moving Forward, there's .com. If you go to the website, there's a contact page on there as well. And it's really the same information. And actually, I've been posting this all actually on my personal platforms, which are all under R. Herbertson, basically. If you look at Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, or Pinterest, that's all under that right now. I haven't given its own. I may eventually give it its own location, but for right now, that's been the easiest.
Fantastic. Well, Randy, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about all the great work you're doing. Number one, at My Moving Forward, what an amazing story. And then, of course, at the Visual Brand. So thank you for that. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Randy, thanks again for coming on the show.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Have a good day.